Lu Fan was still flying through the air. There was a new gleam in his eyes, a strong desire to test the power of his new dragon. On his back was an ancient, semi-conscious dragon awakened by dark magic, tearing through the sky in its silent ascent. Flight. And right in front of him, the Dragon King of Shadow Island, a living legend, the still monstrous-sized creature, said to be the second largest dragon in the world, stared at Lu Fan with calm but terrifying eyes. Lu Fan could have killed him in one blow if he wanted to. Just one gesture. And his new dragon could turn the Shadow King into ash. But he didn't. He waited. Deliberately, because this time, fighting wasn't his goal, which was a test. Lu Fan was still looking at him like a baby dragon. There was no hatred in his eyes, only observation. And then he made his next move. He turned to his sight dragon and signaled power to hide in the air, a silent command, but its vibrations reverberated through the air. But here, the sight dragon, which was at 95, had already seen through Lu Fan's trickery. For a moment, lightning flashed in its eyes, and then it sprang into action. No warning, no fear, just pure rage. Its muscles tensed, huge wings shook the sky, and roaring, it charged straight towards Lu Fan. The shadow dragon was moving quickly towards Lu Fan. Its eyes were savagely red, and waves of smoke emanating from its body were burning the air. Lu Fan, on the other hand, was completely calm. It seemed to already know what the next moment would be like. And then, the dragon extended its huge claws toward Shan. Its attack was tearing through the air. But just then something broke in the sky. A terrifying force fell. It flashed through the dark clouds like lightning, and struck the shadow dragon directly. I was stunned. What was that? Who attacked me so terribly? That force was no ordinary magic hit the shadow dragon directly and knocked it out of the sky. Thud. The earth shook. A cloud of dust rose, and the ancient dragon lay on the ground, his eyes wide in disbelief. How did this happen? He couldn't believe it. Power he hadn't seen in thousands of years had descended upon him. Then suddenly, an invisible attack came again. No warning, no sound, only agony. The Shadow Dragon King roared, and a horrifying viscous green liquid began to flow out of his mouth. It also began to leak from his eyes. The same green poison. His body began to shake. Fear filled his breath. He couldn't understand anything. Where was this attack coming from? Who was breaking into him invisibly like this? And on the other side, there was no enemy in sight. Senior sister, who had been calm until now, was shocked. She said in shock, "Hey Lun, I can't even see where the enemy is. I can only see a attack. I don't understand what's going on." Lu Fan's eyes lit up. He immediately looked back at the shadow dragon and said in a low voice, filled with gratitude and determination, "I must inflame this battle. I need to find out the true powers of my shadow dragon, ... And for that, I must add fuel to the fire." Seeing the situation, Lu Fan immediately orders Zhao Fa to provide the emerald light. Upon hearing this, Zhao Fa immediately activates his powers and releases his power into the air, causing a divine light to appear around him, and then he transforms into a dangerous dragon. Zhao Fa activates his soul shelter power, which also adds the attributes of friendly targets. The soul light increases by 100%. Each time it is damaged, it absorbs the damage received, forming 1 to 2 layers of defensive energy. After each damage is accumulated, it releases a defensive energy shock, and the amount of damage absorbed is 10 times the total amount of damage. The shadow dragon roars at that moment and opens its mouth to emit a brilliant divine light. Its gaze is directed directly at Jeffy, the real target. It charges towards Geo, but waves of its power radiate all around it, aiming directly at Geofi. At that moment, Jeffy stands absolutely still, completely motionless. No resistance, no reaction. A mysterious power suddenly spreads all around. Flames of divine light swirl around Jeffy in a circle, as if pulling him into another world. Lu Fan's eyes are dazzled, but he immediately understands. This is the hidden power of that black blade, he mutters. He realizes that Jeffy's presence, all his power, depended on it. This was his real secret. At that moment, Lu Fan was standing right in front of Zhao Fibit just then. The Shadow Dragon King suddenly roared and made his next move. Bright divine light burst out from his huge body, causing the air around him to tremble. He was about to launch another devastating attack at Lu Fan, but at that moment, something activated within Lu Fan. A deep, twisting black hole, which appeared right in front of his chest, swallowed up all the light. All the divine power that could have ripped apart the skies just now vanished in an instant. There was silence. Then Lu Fan's voice emerged, low, but undeniably decisive. "Neutralize all attacks." His words echoed throughout the space. This wasn't an order. Suddenly, Lu Fan raised his head. There was a new gleam in his eyes, cold, decisive, and cruel. He slowly stepped forward, then squinted at his black dragon. "Show me your most powerful attack," he said in a calm voice, as if pronouncing death. The black dragon understood immediately. It roared forward, its eyes now burning. And then, in one stroke, the sky turned black. The black dragon gathered all of its power and launched a devastating attack so intense, so precise, that the air was torn apart. Before the Shadow Dragon could understand what was happening, it fell to the ground, dead. In one stroke, silence fell. The big sister stepped forward in disbelief. Her eyes widened. What happened? This was the same dragon, right? That level 95 boss. He really died. She mumbled further. He really died. Lu Fan smiled softly. His smile was neither proud nor conceited, just pure sincerity. Shadow Dragon is a killer among shared dragons. He specializes in killing in one blow. He paused for a moment, killing any boss instantly with the help of Go4. It's normal for us now. The elder sister couldn't move. She whispered, "This is normal." Really? A level 47 dragon can kill a level 95 dragon in one blow. She shuddered. I'm at level 96 myself, and my total attributes are only 8,000. She looked at Lu Fan. So how many does he have? Big sister was silent for a while, then said with a light smile, "Just 2 more days. After 2 days, I'll finally be able to stand on my own and fight those 2 companies eye to eye." Her eyes were no longer filled with fear, but determination. Lu Fan looked at her slowly, confidently, and said, "Big sister, don't worry. As long as I'm here, no one can touch you. So don't worry about anything." Big sister's eyes welled up. She stared at Lu Fan for a while, then said softly, "If you can really do this, then you're a boon to our family." There was sincerity in her voice, and gratitude that was beyond words. After this, everyone descends to the ground, and after traveling a long distance, almost 2 days had passed. Lu Fan said that, as promised, my senior and I have reached the Western Territory. Not long after, Lu Fan and his elder sister rode their dragons and flew through the sky towards the mansion. Flying towards the mansion, Lu Fan glanced at the expanse of scenery below and was speechless for a moment. "This scenery, how beautiful," he said softly. "Now it makes sense why so many noble families settle here." The elder sister replied with a light smile. The Dragon Country desperately needed the support of noble families when it was building its foundation. So the richest resources of the western border were handed over to them at the very beginning of the reign. She continued, and so that there would be no outside interference in their lives. Not a single city was built here. This area was reserved solely for them. After hearing all of this, Lu Fan nodded and said, "If that's the reason, then it makes sense." The elder sister ran her fingers through her hair as if she was lost in thoughts, and then said, "The Wang and Long families here are actually the lowest-tier nobles in Western Border." Her eyes focused on the horizon in the distance, and she continued in a low voice. "There are also the C, B, and A tier families who guard deeper and more dangerous areas. They are considered fourth-tier masters. Compared to them," she paused, "families like Wang and Long are at the bottom of the list." Lu Fan understood everything. He was silent for a moment and then thought to himself, "I had no idea that there were so many secrets hidden within the Western Border. It seems as if I have never understood this world before. Everything I thought I knew was just the surface." His gaze swept across the magnificent expanse below, and he muttered to himself in the eyes of these so-called noble families, "I am probably just an insignificant ant." But there was no desperation in that thought. Instead, there was a deep curiosity and a burning desire. And perhaps it is exactly why the prospect of unraveling this mystery feels so exciting, he mused to himself. As these thoughts were running through his mind, a joyful voice echoed in the air. It was the elder sister's voice. "Lu Fan, look, we've arrived," she said, excitement evident in her voice. He raised his hand in the air and pointed to a huge, quiet, but majestic mansion. "This is where we need to go." Lu Fan wasted no time in signaling his dragon to descend. The next moment, the dragon's heavy body slowly descended, lightly shaking the ground. The mansion stood before them with golden walls, tall pillars, and a history full of mystery. As soon as Big Sister got down from the dragon, her steps couldn't stop. She suddenly sprinted towards the mansion. This was the place where she had spent her entire childhood. Every stone, every turn, every door holding her within. Lu Fan followed her quietly. They were just walking towards the main entrance of the mansion when Big Sister suddenly paused for a moment. She looked back at Lu Fan. Her eyes were serious, as if wanting to make sure one last time. She said, "Lu Fan, are you really willing to do all this with me? If you have any hesitations, there's still time. You can go back if you want." Her tone was sincere, gentle, but firm. Lu Fan was silent for a few moments, as if lost in thought. Then he looked straight at her and said softly, "Now that we've come this far, do you think I should regret it?" He sighed and said, "It's the Wang and Long families who should be sorry, not me." His voice was firm, but not angry, just cold sincerity. The elder sister's eyes quivered slightly. She stared at him for a moment, then smiled softly. She extended her hand to him and said, "Come on then. I'll show you the place where I spent all my childhood, where I grew up." This place was known as the Wang family's martial arts arena. Vast, rocky land with a calm surrounding it, but a different kind of storm brewing in the center. Suddenly, the air became heavy. Waves of energy trembled in the atmosphere. This was a sign that two warriors were standing face to face within the arena, and their inner forces were clashing. The two stepped forward at the same moment, their movements ripping through the air, as if the earth itself had paused for a moment. But just as the collision was about to take place, the young man in front of him suddenly stopped his attack and took a deep breath and said, "You are still the best. Even after more than 100 times of steady progress, I am still a little behind you." Standing in front of him was a long-bearded, serious-faced man whose expression and presence clearly indicated that he was his teacher, or perhaps master. The man replied, "You're at the 98th level, and yet you can display the kind of strength that is normally displayed by Ding-level warriors. This is no ordinary thing," he continued. "If all goes well, Your strength will definitely surpass mine in the next half-year. And then you'll also have abilities that are considered miraculous in any Ding-level noble family." He looked at the young man, a goal flashing in his eyes. "If you reach the 99th level, the path to 3rd-level status may open up for our Wang family. And then we'll be able to muster up the courage to face the Ning family." The young man's eyes lit up with determination upon hearing this. He said slowly, rising from a Class C family, "If this is the way to go, I'll have to put in all my strength." The trial was over. The temperature in the arena was still slowly dropping, but the conversation between the two men was creating tension in the air. The disciple standing beside the old man spoke softly. "We just received news Owexian has returned. And there's a young man with him." He paused, then added in a low voice. Both of them were riding on a bone dragon mount. The old man's eyes narrowed. "Bone dragon," he mumbled, then said in surprise, "Are you saying that it's a black bone dragon?" His tone was now filled with both suspicion and fear. "Is that young man the same dragon tamer?" The disciple tilted his head and said, "Very likely. According to our sources, he has tamed several rare dragons. His style, his movements, everything matches." The old man sighed. After a moment of silence, he spoke seriously. "If that's true, then this boy is no ordinary boy. He cannot be ignored." "But," the disciple replied confidently, "don't worry, ancestor. I will take him under our protection. And when the time comes, he will serve our family." The old man looked at him, then asked in a low voice, "And what if he refuses?" A chilly silence fell. The old man's eyes shone with a cold light. In this western border, life and death are often decided by power, not fate. He leaned forward and said softly, "If necessary, then kill him. Jilong never questions those who die here." The disciple bowed his head, and the air became heavy. Once again, he said with a slight smile, "In the next 2 days, Long Ai of the Long family will come to the family with Long Jin. He will not only try to protect Long Jin's reputation, but will also ask for more resources." He paused, then said, "It would be understandable if it was just about reputation, but asking for more from her? I don't agree with that at all." Hearing this, the man across from him let out a loud laugh, a laugh that was both sarcasm and strategic provocation. "So it's true. Long Erhu's habits don't change easily." He then said in a serious tone, 3 days from now, I will arrive at my family's place exactly when Long Erhu is there." There was a spark in his eyes, scheming spark. "This way, not only will we strengthen our family's position, but we will also be able to maintain control over the Long family." 3 days later, in the commodity room of the mansion, Lu Fan was living in seclusion. There was a quiet sound. Outside the room, a maid standing by the door said in a polite voice, "Mr. Yufan, it's time for breakfast. Please have your meal." But inside the room, there was no movement. Lu Fan had already used the portal by then. His presence was no longer there. He had arrived far away. On the deserted beach of Tianwo Island, the blue light of the system was shining around him. System notification. All dragons have been upgraded. Lu Fan's core level. Upgrade complete. Lu Fan took a deep breath and thought to himself, "In just a few days, I will have all my dragons reach the next limit. And then, no matter how powerful the Long family is, with my current power, I can crush them with lightning speed." For a few moments, his mind drifted to senior sister. "I don't know what kind of preparations my elder sister is making these days." After standing on the beach for a little while longer, Lu Fan returned through the portal to his room. But as soon as he returned, he felt a commotion outside. There was a knock on the door. Someone's voice said, "The Long family members have arrived. They are waiting in the hall and calling for senior sister. Also, the Wang family's convoy has passed." Through Jinpo, they could be here any time. Lu Fan looked out the window. A slight smile appeared on his lips. Looks like I've returned at the right time, he thought. He went outside shortly after. Standing outside was Senior Sister, a slight shadow of tension on her face. Perhaps she knew that this confrontation was not going to be averted. She was ordering, "We must increase the security of the yard. Do not let any outsiders in, not without my permission." Her tone was composed, but there was a hint of tiredness inside. And then, Lu Fan stood in front of her. A light smile adorned his face, his voice both confident and affectionate. "Hey, my big sister. Don't worry, I'm with you. There's nothing here to bother you now." The air calmed down a little, and in the living room, the silence before the war began to be felt. Near the gate of the mansion, the Long family and the other guests had already arrived. Standing in the yard, chatting amongst themselves, some impatient, some defiant. One of them, who looked very arrogant in his clothes and demeanor, joked, "Do we still have to remind them to come in?" Just then, the main door of the mansion slowly opened. Lu Fan and Senior Sister walked out together. Both were quiet, but their presence suddenly filled the atmosphere with silence. Lu Fan's eyes were sharp, while Senior Sister's face was filled with cold confidence. All the eyes inside focused on them. Just then, the man sitting in front, Long Erhu, age 32, a level 98 hidden professional King Kong monk, laughed sarcastically. "Oh, this is the guest. It's really special. We've been here for hours, but we haven't even had a cup of hot tea yet." Senior Sister looked at him with disdain. Her words were cold, but the sting was deep. "You should be grateful that you were allowed in today. In the past, uncivilized people like you were thrown out before the mansion's gates." Long Erhu laughed a deliberately provocative laugh. He stepped forward and started acting childish by sticking out his tongue in mockery. He then said sarcastically, "That was the past. Let's talk about the present. Now, even if someone were to urinate in front of your door, no member of your family would dare to cough." He smiled and then added in a serious tone, "We are here because the resources that were lent to the Long family before. Now it's time to take them back." Standing nearby, his younger brother Long Jin was silent. But his eyes were still shining with the same arrogance. The room became heavy, but Lu Fan was still calm, like the calm before a storm. Long Erhu was now serious. She took a step forward and said, "Unfortunately, things are such that your family no longer needs to explain themselves to their old glory. Long Jin traveled 1,000 miles to visit your family. And what did you do in return? Injured him? Insulted him?" Her voice was now low but heavy. "Our old master is extremely angry about this insult, and he is willing to make us pay for it." Anger flashed in Senior Sister's eyes. She didn't pause. "You guys are so shameless. It's clear that your intention is not to repay the debt, but to make us bow down." Long Jin broke the rules, and what happened was his fault. Long Erhu broke the conversation with laughter once again. "Why are you so angry? I have a perfect solution to this." He winked. "Why don't you marry me? That way you'll become Long Jin's sister-in-law's sister-in-law. Then you can beat him up as much as you want legally." The room fell silent for a moment. The insults lingered in the air. Long Erhu was now determined to make the final blow. He looked around slowly, then said in a loud voice, "The Wang family is now with our Long family. No one in this entire region is brave enough to hold an evil thought against us." Senior Sister's face hardened upon hearing this, but before she could say anything, Long Erhu spoke again, a taunt steeped in dismal poison. "If you can do a little service to my younger brother Long Jin, maybe I'll let you go. You'll become my sister-in-law after all." The room fell silent, and just then, a voice that was cold but trembling with anger pierced the air. "That's enough. Lu Fan had now come forward. His eyes were stern, his tone steady but seething deep within. He walked towards Long Erhu and said in a disdainful tone, "You talk like someone who wants to eat goose meat. Have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror? Look at your face. In the mirror before you go out, think, what level of person are you?" He took a step forward, his presence now seeming heavy. Talk of making a sister-in-law is befitting those who can at least stand up to humanity. But you are a burden on your own family's neck.